here. Twyla's just getting a few things organized.
Deb's breaking up housekeeping.
Our normal occurrence. She cleans up after me.
No. I do not clean up that much after her.
Okay.
Karen takes way better care of you than I do.
Oh, this is our next sew along, and I'm wearing the same clothes as I
Yeah,
wore for
here
our
we
last
go.
sew along.
This is going to be fun, me trying to figure out which video is which when I go to label them and
Oh,
stuff.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
We should have held up a sign, open and closed.
Yeah. Okay, whoops.
We'll wait till a few more people.
Oh, they came right back, most of them.
Yeah, we've got 21.
So what we did, ladies, in case somebody just got the notification that we started live again and they don't know what it's all about, we did the closed sew along week 4 first. Yeah. And then we signed off so that that would be a separate video to be labeled separately. And now we're doing the open sew along week 6.
But
so
this is a very simple.
This is a simple week since we decided on the spur of the moment to.
Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, Mark.
To do both. We picked a really simple week, but it will give you
something to work on.
Something to work on, and it's a really good row to use up some of your scraps that you may have sitting around from your previous rows.
And we always get lots of those, don't we?
Yeah. And wait till you see the threads hanging on this puppy. Okay. So this is all our row is this week. It's called a Boston brick row, or this little unit is a Boston. One of these units down is a Boston brick. It uses a background fabric, which mine's probably a bit busier than some of yours. And then it uses 2 pieces of a coordinating print on either side. And then when you put them together, you just flip one way and the other way to get that staggered appearance.
How many of these?
So if you are doing a queen size, you will need 42.
I thought it was 46.
No, 42 to give you a row that's 8.5 by 84.5. If you are doing the throw size, you will need to do 24, and it will give you a row that is 8.5 by 48.5. So each of these individual, we're going to take that off now. So this is a simple one, and just to give you an idea when you're going through your scraps, all you would need to cut what you need for each one of these.
2.5 inch strip.
Right, but your print, you only need a 2.5 inch strip by 7 inches, or a hair better than 7 inches if you want to trim your ends straight or whatever. Will give you what you need plus your background, a 2.5 inch square. So any scraps you got there that's 7 inches, you can get what you need for one of the little units.
And you did you do every one different, or did you repeat some?
No, I think some are repeated. I don't know.
I repeated some of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just
see. I'm using about 8, 9 different Lori Holt lines, I think, in this one. So there could be some. No, I think some are repeated.
I don't see any, but anyway.
Anyway,
I repeated in mine.
And you could do all of your background the same, or if you've done a scrappy background on the rest of your quilt, you could make them all different. You could do whatever you wanted. Yeah. If you have used way less fabric in your quilt, like if you've been working with, say, 10 different fabrics, then you're just going to repeat your 10 prints for your units going down the row or whatever in a pleasing manner, right? So let's get this off and show them what it looks like. There we go. Okay. Here we go. So this is the simple
of mine.
week.
This is very simple.
Okay, so these background blocks are 2.5 inch square. And then your print, you need a 2.5 inch square and a 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangle.
So that's pretty easy.
So that's as simple as it can get, and it's going to use up some of your scraps.
Yes.
So simple.
Yeah.
So you could do a lot of chain piecing on these if you wanted. Like you could chain piece all of your 2 little 2.5 inch squares, your print in your background. You could chain piece every one of those and then just add your 4.5 inch on the other end. So look how simple this is. The worst part of this row is all the cutting. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
The sewing. I bet it'll take almost longer to cut it out than it will to sew it.
So I'm just going to join these two to show them.
So now this is a perfect case of if you're an ironer or you press, if you press every one going towards the same direction. So if you were to press this going towards the little square and press this going towards the little square, when you flip them around, your seams are going to automatically nest. Okay. So press all of them if you're a presser going in the same direction, either all towards the rectangle or all towards the tiny square side. So simple, simple, simple. Just don't forget when you're sewing them together that you're staggering.
Yes.
The rectangle goes up on one and then down on the other.
Just make sure your points meet. That's the only place you have to make sure they meet.
That's the only place. So look how simple that is.
That's it.
So a scrap of 2.5 by 7 will give you your 2 pieces that you need for each unit and a background of a 2.5-inch square. Deb, when you match your seams and don't press, when you are all finished, does your block always measure the correct size?
Seems to.
I would say that most generally hers does, yes.
And I don't get hung up if it doesn't.
And I don't know if you saw her when she was ironing, but she irons a lot like Jenny Doan does. No, it's a good thing. It works well for you guys and for Jenny Doan. But Jenny Doan quite often doesn't iron from the back of her block or layer seams a certain way.
I didn't press those, but I wouldn't just sew this without looking underneath. When I look underneath and know that's going up, so then I always adjust it. I try not to let that come down because the lip of my machine would technically always try to push it down. I always look up and flip it up with my finger.
Yeah. But those settle in. When you don't iron, those nest together so easy. But if you do iron, they will nest. For sure.
I find, I'm okay with that nesting. See how they nest?
Yeah. They look great.
So it's whatever you get used to.
Yeah. And it's whatever works for you. There's no right. There's no wrong.
No, there's no quilt please here. And I always heard, I've said it before, but if you look underneath of somebody's block to see how neat they are, that's like looking under somebody's dress. That's their private areas.
I agree. There you go.
That's private. It's nobody's business. It's just...
So, do whatever you want and don't let anybody peek under your skirt.
Okay, we'll see you later,
Okay,
everybody.
guys, so I'll try to get the directions posted there shortly for both the open and the closed. Have a good week, and we'll let you know next week
what's going on. Towards the first of the week, we'll try to make that decision. Or you can let us know. Do you like doing it both in one day, or is it too much? If there's people doing both of them at the same time, it might be too much.
Right.
Feedback is always good.
Yeah. Okay. See you later. Have fun, guys.